Six teams will have brand new coaches for the 2024 NBA season. Let's start with the Houston Rockets and Ime Udoka.
Can I say this is the most exciting one for me? Just for me. I am a huge fan of Ime Udoka's coaching style, considering how he did Boston Celtics in the year of 2022. He coached that team all the way to the NBA Finals. You think I'm not excited about what he's going to do with the Houston Rockets? I can't wait to watch it. I can't wait to see it. It almost gives me, will this Houston Rockets 2024 season be similar to what the Sacramento Kings went through from the bottom to the top? Now, I'm not saying that that the Houston Rockets will become top six. Now, that I don't know. However, I do believe that we'll find them in the play-in tournament this 2024 season for sure. For sure.
Yes, because I'm looking at, oh my God, such a young squad. And with the addition of Amen Thompson, they already had a young core, right? And Sengun is coming back next season. I'm like, oh, Ime Udoka, it's just going to be, and I'm going to coin, I think this is going to be Boston Celtics 2.0.
I read a quote somewhere that Jalen Green, something about he's going to bring like discipline and structure. And I don't know what the right words was, but that's what I got from the comment that Jalen Green made about Ime Udoka being their head coach, bringing it in some accountability, kind of, discipline, accountability, defense. He don't play. And I think that is what really drove the Boston Celtics to the success they had in 2022, which I believe we'll see the same type of success in Houston Rockets. It is a new day in Houston. And I'm sorry, the new day, yes, it's the players, but that coach, Ime Udoka, is I'm excited about it. When I think another thing, you think about it. When Ime Udoka was with the Boston Celtics, he was able to create. He helped Marcus Smart become Defensive Player of the Year. Now, if you remember when he first came over, Marcus Smart and Ime Udoka, they had a little issue at the top of the season,
yes,
right? So then, at the end of the season, for Marcus Smart to achieve the Defensive Player of the Year, you think he's not going to be able to shape somebody? Are we going to be looking at a man becoming Rookie of the Year? I mean, I just don't know. He's going to bring out the best of them, but they're going to have to buy in. And the thing about Ime Udoka, if they don't buy in, he's not going to care.
Yeah, exactly. I think the sky is the limit for the Houston Rockets. And now they are must-see TV. Yes. They may get some nationally televised games now. These key players that they have. I just love it. I love that it's going to be exciting basketball in Houston. And I hope James Harden doesn't mess that up.
I don't want him to go there. I really don't want him to go there. I really hope they have closed the door on James Harden in Houston. I don't want to see it. NBA, I don't want to see it. Houston Rockets, I don't want to see it. Now, I know that another benefit that the Houston Rockets have right now is that they have money in free agency. Now, I can't wait to see how they utilize that money to bring in some veteran players. I do believe that they'll bring in some veteran players. I do believe they'll do that. And I know they may be searching for a point guard. That's a solid point guard. If I look at their roster, the Houston Rockets have a lot of guards. I don't know if there's anybody there that they would say is going to be their point guard. Now, Ime Udoka can make anything happen. I'm quite sure. But I'm quite sure they'll be looking for another big. That's what I've been reading about. I think they're interested in Brook Lopez right now. And, I don't know why Brook Lopez would leave the Milwaukee Bucks. But, hey, you know what I look like if the money right. I don't see why he wouldn't relocate to Houston. But I think I believe that they may acquire a point guard veteran. I've been seeing the name Fred VanVleet out there. He'll be probably the shortest on the roster because everybody's super tall. And maybe I've been hearing in the news about Brook Lopez. But at the end of the day, even if they don't do that, they have money to get a free agent. But even if they don't do that, the players that they have on their roster, young, ready, and willing,
Yeah. Let's move on to the Milwaukee Bucks. Now, Adrian Griffin was hired as a new head coach. This is a guy who played in the NBA along with Ime Udoka. They both played. So when you're a player/coach, I think players can respect you a little bit more because you've been in the trenches. You know what it's like on long road games. You know what it's like getting treatment and all that. So Adrian Griffin finally getting his chance. I know that he's going to expect them to play defense. They're going to get out and run. I know they're not going to be jacking up threes. He's going to require that they play rhythm offense where it's like you can shoot the three, but only if it's in rhythm. Don't be trying to jack them up. He does have an old squad, though. If you look at it, this roster,
Mm-hmm.
they're all old, strong men, but they come with lots of experience. So I think they'll be an average team. He waited 15 years for this opportunity to be head coach. So that says a lot too.
I think he has big shoes to fill, especially not necessarily behind Coach Bud, but with a team that's already top 3 in the Eastern Conference. He's walking into that. So really, his only expectation for me is maintain their top 3 status in the East. What? He has players on there that has been playing together for quite some time, right? Giannis Antetokounmpo, I think that his, for me, now I'm quite sure he's going to come in. It's going to be it would be a very hard road for him if the Milwaukee Bucks slip in the standings. That's just what it is. If he can at least maintain their top 3 in the Eastern Conference, I think it'll be okay. I don't really have huge expectations for him. Not like I do when you're coming into a system like Ime Udoka, where the Houston Rockets have been at the bottom of the West forever, and he's walking into something that's already pretty established. The culture is already set. It's just maybe a new voice in the locker room. So he'll have to ease his way into already a set, successful organization. That's going to be pretty difficult. That's not an easy job. I watched his press conference and I was
like, yeah.
I don't know. So I can't wait to see it. I'm not saying he can't. I don't, just the way he didn't command anything for me. I don't know. Maybe my expectations are a little bit different than what I want to see from a coach. And that's not fair to him, of course. But we'll see. I just know that he needs to make sure that they go deep into the playoffs and that they maintain their top 3 status. Because if they even slip, he can forget about it.
Well, he may or may not have Chris Middleton. Chris Middleton opted out. I think without Chris Middleton, he's looking at a totally different Milwaukee Bucks team, even though Middleton has been injured a lot here lately. But something about the duo of Giannis and Middleton is successful. They went to the NBA Finals. Unfortunately, they got kicked out in the first round last season. But, Adrian Griffin, yeah, you're right. Big shoes to fill. Coach Bud was there for a long time, and he took them to the finals. So, yeah.
And they won a championship.
Yeah.
And I believe Coach Bud with Giannis won Coach of the Year. That organization don't really care about your accolades if you ain't making it to the finals. That's just what they're not. This particular franchise is not a Denver Nuggets franchise, clearly.
Yeah.
So
okay. Detroit Pistons, Monty Williams. Monty, when he was fired from the Phoenix Suns, it kind of threw me off. But then when he took one of the highest paid contracts for the Detroit Pistons, I said, okay, this is a nice consolation prize. But when you look at the Detroit Pistons roster, what expectations can we have from Monty Williams?
I think Monty Williams will bring in a cultural shift. If you think about when he went to the Phoenix Suns, he helped change the culture of the Phoenix Suns. I think he'll do the same thing with the Pistons based on what the Pistons' needs are. Now, he also did bring in Stephen Silas as an assistant coach with him. So we'll see what that looks like. I don't really have huge expectations in the first year for the Detroit Pistons. I think that we may not see a return of this investment, in my opinion, until like maybe year 2 or 3. I think it's going to take some time. And based off of Monty Williams, I think his main goal going in, and I haven't listened to his press conference, but I believe based off of, his tenure with the Suns, it's going to be about a culture change. I know that some of the things that have come out post his reign in Suns is that he sticks with his favorites. Maybe he won't do that again. If you don't like you can forget about it. He's not going to give you the best. Hopefully that will change because that's something that wasn't too successful in the end that came out later. And I think it did disrupt the locker room in Phoenix. Maybe that'll be something he'll change with the Detroit Pistons. But I really don't have high expectations for the Detroit Pistons. Hopefully they will not be number 15 and they'll be number 11. At the end of the season. They have good players there as well. So I can't wait to see what Monty Williams will do season 1. But I think we won't see the return of investment until 2 or 3.
Okay. Well, one thing you can expect from Monty Williams, I think, is great communication, accountability, and trust.
He's going to go hard for his players. That is for sure.
Absolutely. Happy to see that Ausar Thompson will have Monty Williams as his very first coach in the NBA. I think that can do nothing but benefit him as he moves forward. That's great. Now, the Pistons, as you mentioned, bottom of the East for years. I don't have high expectations. They're not going to soar to the top just because they brought in Monty Williams. No. But, yeah, I think they'll be flirting with the play-in tournament.
Yeah, I can support that. I can
Mm-hmm.
support that. Sure.
Yeah. Okay. Now the Toronto Raptors, they brought in the Memphis Grizzlies, one of the assistant coaches for the Grizz, Darko Rajakovic. Um, first time head coach, brings a lot of energy and effort. I'm told he is one of the reasons why the Grizzlies play with so much swagger. I said, oh, okay. Can he bring that to the Toronto Raptors? I guess we'll get a chance to see that.
Yep, I guess we will. I have no expectations for him. I have to see. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Well, if they lose Fred VanVleet, I think that's going to be a big change, though. But they did pick up Grady in the draft, round one, number 13. So we'll see. We'll see what happens with that.
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
All right, now the Sixers, after getting rid of Doc Rivers, I said, oh man, who are they going to bring in? They went and got Nick Nurse. What are your expectations?
I know that Joel Embiid should be happy. I mean, if you've read anything or watched anything, you know that they have some type of respect for one another. At least that. I think Nick Nurse. I read somewhere that he would load manage Joel Embiid, which I think would benefit Joel Embiid, especially when we're talking about going deep in the playoffs. Because let's just be honest, another second round exit is unacceptable, right, for the Philadelphia 76ers. And the fact that Joel Embiid looks busted at the end of that they can't do it again. So if Nick Nurse identifies that, and Nick Nurse comes with experience, I mean, he did that with Kawhi Leonard in 2019, which benefited them all the way to the championship. So I think that's really what the Sixers are looking for Nick Nurse to do. Hopefully, if he's going to low manage uh, Joel Embiid, the roster that they have and can create in free agency around Joel Embiid will be beneficial to that. So they won't go down in the standings. But I think the main thing is, how do we manage Joel Embiid as their big man, as their number one, while we still try to strive for a high seeding and to go past the second round in the playoffs. That's what it is. And I think Nick Nurse can do that because he's done it before.
Mm.
So
Yeah, speaking of load management, though, it's funny that you say that he intends to load manage Joel Embiid because if you remember what he did with the Raptors, he ran Fred, OG, and Siakam into the ground 40 plus minutes every single night. That's not going to fly when you have potentially James Harden and Joel Embiid on the court. I hope Nick Nurse doesn't go there with that. I think he's a very unconventional coach. He can make adjustments, in-game adjustments, and that's going to be a shock to the system of Joel Embiid and the Sixers because, as we know, Doc Rivers was famous for not making adjustments. So this will be a nice little change for them. All right, so let's move on to the Phoenix Suns. Frank Vogel. I'm not impressed with that hire, to be completely honest with you.
I just don't know. I mean, what is he going to bring in? More defense? They do that a little bit. You know what? The challenge I have with the Phoenix Suns and Frank Vogel being the head coach is that this core has not played together. I don't know what to expect. Then they just acquired Bradley Beal. What are we really looking at? Because I can tell you right now, with no depth, there is no championship, in my opinion. I mean, they're gonna just. I don't know. I don't know. Frank Vogel. I mean, he did win it. He did win a championship in the bubble. He did. He did.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
know what though? But he comes in. It still gives me. Frank Vogel is the head coach, and he will only. I can say that he will be the head coach when things don't go well. He's gonna get the blame for it. And that's what happened when he was a head coach with the Los Angeles Lakers. He got the blame for it. But when
Yeah.
they do pretty good, it's gonna be praise of the play. It's almost like the same scenario for me in a sense. Like
Mm-hmm.
when he was with the Lakers, he had LeBron James. Now he's with Phoenix Suns. He has KD and Devin Booker. It just doesn't seem like I don't know what to feel. I don't know how to feel about it. I don't know.
Yeah, and the thing is, yeah, he's a defensive-minded coach, but they're top-heavy with dudes who don't really play defense like that. So I don't know what he's gonna do.
I think I think his biggest asset would be, what will he do if DeAndre Ayton stays? If he can turn around DeAndre Ayton's feel about the game, feel about Phoenix Suns, and that's the highlight of the 2024 season, as long as the Phoenix Suns go deep, or at least, play, be top of the conference in the West, and DeAndre Ayton is a benefit, an added factor to that, then I think he would be successful. It depends. If they keep DeAndre Ayton, what can he do with DeAndre Ayton? From me, because I already know Bradley Beal gonna give it all. I mean, come on. I already know Devin Booker gonna do Devin Booker things, can't get it out. But I know that, and I know that KD gonna do KD things. So
KD teams.
the biggest thing for me is, what will he be able to do with the role players that he'll have, right? And what DeAndre Ayton, his connection to DeAndre Ayton. I think that is where he can shine as a coach in Phoenix.
Okay. Well, I think it'll be one and done if he doesn't get this squad to the NBA Finals, right? And that's a big, big task. And I don't see it happening. So I think Frank Vogel will be out of a job.
What?
And it sounds terrible because he hasn't even started, but I just don't see it. I just don't see it. This gives me Steve Nash with the Brooklyn Nets. This is all over again. Big three, top heavy, no bench. Everybody, no, this is not going to be successful unless they put key role players around their big three. And as you mentioned, DeAndre Ayton comes to play for Frank Vogel. But I just don't see it because with the new CBA and cap space and all that, they're not going to be able to put together a decent roster from 1 to 10.
We're looking at the roster right now.